Well, hello, enemies book lovers. My name is Ash. Welcome back to my channel. We are here for a February wrap-up. Who am I? I'm actually doing a wrap-up video. I think it's important to discuss, talk about, criticize, etc. the media that at least I consume. So because I have a booktube channel, I think it's important to talk about the books I, discuss on my TBR videos, and it's like a little bit of accountability on my end. So I'm not gonna go too in depth about the books, but I do have stats, which is a lot of fun. Now, I also have my glasses on because I'm gonna be reading off of my tablet, which is right in front of me. So unfortunately, you're gonna have to deal with the glare. I'm so sorry, but I have to be able to see. So February overall was an okay reading month. A lot of mediocre books. We'll kind of talk about that soon, but there was one outlier. So let's talk about how many books I read and what rating I gave them, and then go into the more details before we go into the books themselves. In February, I read 6 books total. The start of the month, I didn't read that many, but the end of the month, I'm just like reading a lot. So right now, in the past few days, I've been reading like crazy. I have like this new kind of routine that makes me read more, and so I'm on a roll. So the 6 books is actually pretty good. I read 6 in January as well, and because February is the shortest month, I did a pretty good job. But yes, in total, I read 6 books with 2,181 pages, so actually not too bad. Not as many as January, but because it's a shorter month, I'll give myself some slack. I read 2 library books, which is pretty cool, and I started 4 series. But listen, I'm not continuing all 4 series though. I'm only continuing, I think, 3. So technically I started 3 series. Yikes. And then my average rating is a 3.6, which is higher than January. January was 3.4, so 3.6 is pretty good. And then diversity, I read 4 books with diversity within it, or at least diverse author, so that's not too bad either. I read 4 ebooks and 2 physical books. All 6 of them were novels, and then 4 were adult and 2 were YA. I don't really read a lot of YA, so 2 is pretty good for me. When it comes to my ratings though, let's go over my ratings really quick. I gave a lot of books 3 and 3.5 stars. And it was like a very mediocre month, unfortunately. So I gave 2 books 3 stars, 3 books 3.5 stars, and 1 book 5 stars. My first 5-star of the year was in February, which is so exciting. I am very stingy with my 5-star reads, so 1 in February, which is only the second month of the year, is pretty good for me. I read 4 new to me authors and 2 I read it from before. I don't do this very often. I usually read authors I've read from before because I don't like to read new series or whatever. So the fact that I read more new authors than authors I've read from before is actually pretty unlike me. But yeah, we don't need to talk about that. The way that I acquired my books is so divisive. Like, look how different they are. They're all separate, which is so interesting to me. One was from a book box, which was one from like years ago I received. One was bought years ago again, a few years back. One was a library book. One was a Libby book, which is kind of like library, but more digitally. And then one was a NetGalley ARC. So I got every single format was different how I acquired my books. 5 of them were part of a series. Only 1 was a standalone, which is also very like me. All the publication years were also all unique to each other. So we have 1 from 2026, 1 from 2024, 1 from 2020, 1 from 2018, 1 from 2013, and 1 from 2008. So a very wide range of years. I always read usually backlist books, so this kind of does check out. I usually read books from years ago. Not very common that I read books that came out a year or so ago. I prefer my backlist books, so this does make a lot of sense to me. And this is not really important, but these are like the book cover, the primary colors on the book covers. I don't know if this is interesting to you, but this was part of the sheet and I kind of find it fun to do. It's kind of difficult sometimes though, because obviously a lot of books have multiple colors on the cover, but I try to choose like the primary color on the cover. Now let's get to the actual books themselves. There are 6 total. I'm going to discuss the books based off of when I finished them first to last. So we're going to talk about the books I finished first to last. I just said that. Sorry. The first book I actually read from my unwrap or unhaul video, and because of that I'm not going to talk too much about it because I have a little bit more of a discussion on it in my actual video itself, so I'll link it up below in my little I don't know what it's called. I'm going to put it up in my cards above so you can like click on it if you're interested. But that book was Ace of Shades by Foody. I'm going to still try the second book, but I did give the first book a 3 stars, which is technically one of my lower rated books of the month. I've only given 2 books 3 stars. I didn't dislike it, like I didn't hate it, but again, wasn't a favorite of mine. In this book, we're following N, who is the female protagonist, and Levi, who's the male protagonist. N's mother goes missing, and she has a note that is from her mother saying, if I do go missing, find Levi, and you'll find out more about what happened to me, most likely. She's like a little bit more refined girl who goes to like this Vegas-like area and meets with Levi. Levi is a gang leader, and he kind of tries to help her with her mother only because she promises him money and he is in a lot of debt. So he says, okay, I'll help you as long as you give me the money. And so that's what they do. They work together to try to find information about her mother. Along with that, though, there's a lot of other things going on. With Levi, for example, he has a debt to collect, and the person that is looking for the money giving him a timeline. So in this book, we're kind of following the days that go by, day 1, day 2, day 3, and as we're reading the book, we're kind of like seeing how many days have passed, and we're trying to see if he can fill his debt before the end of the book, which is actually kind of a lot of fun. I kind of like that aspect of it when there's like a time limit. It makes it like have a little bit more like, it's like that little bit of stress that makes you want to see what's going to happen. I kind of like that aspect of it. The reason why I didn't love it is because it is definitely YA, and I think it's a little bit too young YA for me. There is some romance in it. It is very slow burn though. That is one of the biggest perks with this book, is that the slow burn is so good. There's not even a kiss scene in this book between N and Levi. There's definitely romance, or like a little bit of a blooming romance, but it is very slow, and I love it personally. Also, Levi is a BIPOC character, and he's also bisexual, so it's really cool seeing the male protagonist be a bisexual character, because you don't see it very often. And the way that ended makes me want to try book 2. There are some content warnings in this book. There's like attempted essay and discussion on that happening with other girls, and N has to be in a situation where she kind of has to put herself in front of a guy who is obviously a horrible person, just so that she can get things from him. So if you're uncomfortable with that, just keep that in mind. Ups and downs. I kind of like the environment too, like the Vegas-esque setting, but it just was like, okay. I think there was also like powers involved where they have different things that they're kind of good at due to their parents' lineage. So because you're mom and dad, you can get like different types of powers. There's one that's more prominent, and then there's like a secondary talent. And so there's a few things going on in this book. It's like a little bit magical realism with like a Vegas setting. It gives like Six of Crows Caraval mixture, kind of vaguely. So it was fun overall. Didn't love it, but I still liked it enough to maybe try book 2. If I don't like it, I might unhaul it, but we'll give it a shot. The next book I read was Gracelings by Kristin Cashore. This one I gave a 3.5 stars. Well, this book I enjoyed way more in the beginning than I did in the middle and ending. So this book is about Gracelings, which are people with powers. You know if someone's a Graceling because their eyes are 2 separate colors, so like gold and silver, or like green and blue. And everyone has different types of graces. So someone can have like a really, really good one, like literally something that can be like game changing, and then someone can have something that's simple, like being able to swim really well. So sometimes it's really powerful, sometimes it's not. And our main character in this story, her name is Katza, and she has a very, very good Graceling. And her uncle, who is the king, wants her to control her so that he can control her grace, and that is being exceptionally well at offing people. And so he uses her to get to other people and get rid of other people, and she hates it. She hates it so, so much. And so she ends up accidentally becoming allies with Prince Po, who is a neighboring prince from another kingdom, and something happens to someone in his family, and he wants to get help or get answers as to what's going on and who caused this to happen with his family member. And so Po and Katza work together. Katza leaves her kingdom and says screw you to her uncle and says I want to do this and I want to like do my own thing. And so her and Po work together to figure out what's going on with his family, and other things happen, and it's really interesting. It's a very simple synopsis, and it's a very simple YA fantasy. I like YA fantasy. I think it's a really easy to kind of get yourself into because of the fact that it's not like extremely, you know, a lot going on. This book is a lot less overwhelming than like the Stormlight Archives that I'm currently reading. So it is nice to have kind of like a smaller little fantasy book, YA fantasy, to read throughout my other bigger fantasies. And I like the premise, I like the concept, I like the environment, but the problem I think is the writing. I don't think it's great sometimes. This is a debut novel, so I give, no pun intended, a bit of grace to the author. I mean, maybe a little bit of intention, but mostly not intended. This is a debut novel, and so I understand it's like her first time writing a novel. I think there's 6 books in the series. I think book 2 is called Fire, so I want to give the second book a shot. The reason why I didn't love it is because like the writing was very blunt. I don't know how to explain it. Like it was a very blunt way to end scenes, and also end dialogue, and also the way it was just written. Just scenes were just instantly stopped, and it felt like it shouldn't have. Like it felt like there could have been more added to it. It's also some scenes were just kind of like left off, and you don't really see what's going on. It's just happening off screen, which I think is kind of an interesting take, but I also don't really know if I like that or not. There's just some things are up and down. I also feel like the beginning of the book is a lot more like fantasy based, and you see the characters in their world and like how the kingdoms work. And then around the middle mark is where we see Po and Katza kind of doing adventuring together, so they're actually traveling together. And I actually liked the way it was done. The problem was like the romance went from like a slow kind of burn to a kind of like randomly quick burn, and I hated that. Like I really liked the way it was paced in the beginning. It was like a slow burn. I love Prince Po. He has like cat energy. I don't know how to explain it, but he's all like sly and smirky, and like I love that attitude with male characters. But with the middle of the book, they just like the romance just bloomed way too fast, and they end up sleeping together, which I know this is YA. It does not describe it in detail, thankfully, but they end up sleeping together. And I was like, what? Like, this is a 6-part series. At least the first 3 books are based off of them. So this should be like a slower burn. I don't know. I was kind of hoping it would be, but whatever. So the beginning was like 4-star energy for me, maybe even a bit more. The middle was like 3, and then the end was like 3.5. So I kind of just kept it at 3.5. It was interesting to me. I liked ideas, concepts, but again, the writing was just blunt. The scenes were as well. And I just didn't love some parts of it, but I think it was interesting enough for me to want to continue to the second book. I am interested to find out what's going to happen, and I do like the romance itself. It's just that I kind of wish it was a bit slower. My next book was actually an arc from NetGalley. This book releases on February 10th, so it already released by the time I put this video up, obviously. And this is Wicked Onyx by Debbie Cassidy. This is one I mentioned I didn't know if it was a love triangle. I still technically don't know, but I think I have a theory. So I think this is Why Choose, and it's not specified anywhere. It's not on Goodreads. The author doesn't say anything about it, but it's very heavily implied. I don't remember the characters' names because I didn't write them down. I don't know why I did that, but it's fine. The main character in the story is Onyx. Her last name is Onyx, and she's the last of the Onyx line, and her mother left her a note to say that if she wants to find information, there is a text under the academy that she has to find, and so she wants to go to the academy to find this text and see what this is all about. And she ends up actually staying at the academy, and she goes here and like false pretenses of wanting to go to school. In reality though, she wants to actually get under the school to get that text that her mother told her about. So she's kind of like faking relationships with her friends and these other guys, but I think it's obviously implied that she does like them as people and she wants to be their friend, but she has to have on this facade and she kind of doesn't like it because she likes them. They're like really good people. Some of them, not many of them, but there are a lot of really good people in this place, and it just like sucks that she isn't there for them and she's there for her own reasons. And I think she feels a bit of guilt with that. And there are 3 guys that are heavily implied to be potential romance interests. There's one that's the most obvious. He's like the shifter. He shifts into like, I think he's like similar to werewolf, but not quite. It's like animalistic. It's wolf-like, so wolf adjacent. So very much like shifter kind of character. He is the sweetest one of the 3 of them. We have the second one, who is the professor, who is kind of like in the middle. He's nice to her, he's kind to her, but sometimes he's like, I don't know, iffy. But I kind of like him, I think. I don't know how I feel about him right now. And then the third one is one I don't know. It gives a vibe that they might end up together because they are the enemies of each other. He is a dampire, which is a human and a vampire hybrid. So they had a kid together and they had a dampire, and he actually is linked to her backstory, how he did something really horrible and she wants revenge, but he also wants revenge on her side because she did something accidentally, and so he wants to get back at her. So there's like a definite hatred toward one another, but I obviously sense a little bit of romance too. I don't know. Like it feels like there's potential for romance. So the professor, the shifter, and the dampire are like the characters that I think there's a Why Choose. And why I don't know for sure is because there's no romance in this book. Like there's heavily implied romance within this book for the professor and the shifter with her, but there's no like actual verification because there's actually nothing happens in this book. There's no kissing, nothing. This is a slow burn. Potential Why Choose. I love to see it. You don't see that very often. Why Choose is usually pretty quick, and I prefer my slow burns with my Why Chooses. Any romances, but especially Why Choose because there's so many people, so it makes a lot of sense to take your time. And this is going to be a series. Only one of them is out, obviously. And so I want to kind of know. I don't know, though, if I want to continue the series, though, because it's dark academia, and I've come to the conclusion, dark academia is not for me. It's just not for me. I'm probably not going to like any dark academia. So I just don't like the environment. I like academic settings, like Zodiac Academy. It's not a great series, but I still think it's fun. And the reason why is because the academics thing is like on the side. It's a very backdrop. With dark academia, I feel like it's more of the foreground, and you see more of that constantly throughout the book. So you see them in the classes, you see them learning, and there's so much info dumping in this book that I just kind of like got confused by a lot of it. There's so many different characters too. I feel like I should have taken notes for this book for sure, because I think I got a little bit lost because of the fact that I just didn't know who was who and what was happening. There's so many like bloodlines and lineages and powers and different types of things people have. I'm just like, what's going on half the book? So if you want to read this book, just keep in mind a lot of information at you. If you like romance, if you like dark academia, if you like slow burn, if you like some of these concepts and ideas, I think it's definitely worth a try. I want to try more of Debbie Cassidy's work in the future. She writes a lot of Why Choose, so I'm down for it. I think I added one to my list that was like shifter romance. She has a lot of other romance books I want to try because, again, I think maybe I just didn't give this a higher rating because it's dark academia. There definitely are some like parts I didn't love about this book. Like, I didn't love a lot of the scenes and stuff, but you know what? I had fun with it. It kind of was like the perfect time to read it when I did. So I liked it overall. 3.5 stars is pretty good. I think it's more of a 3 than a 4. Overall though, it was still fun. But yeah, I still don't know if it's a why choose or a love triangle. I'm assuming it's a why choose. It's not implied, but it's there. There's like that feeling, that sense in my head. It was really annoying to read it though, not knowing, because I was like, who do I root for? But again, I think it's gonna be all of them. So we'll find out. I might read book 2. There's still 3 books left and I've been talking for so long. So let's get a little bit faster, shall we? The next book is technically, I hate this so much. This is my most disappointing book of the month. Not because I disliked it that much, but because I expected to like it more than I did. And I feel so bad because there's a few people on my channel who really like this series and I feel like I'm letting them down because I'm DNFing this series technically, loosely. And this is the Guild Hunter series by Nalini Singh. This one in particular is Archangel's Legion. The reason for this is very similar to the last one. I don't like urban fantasy. The only time I ever liked it was the Green Bone Saga. That's it. Like the Jade City, all that. That's the only time I actually kind of liked it. I don't think I've ever liked an urban fantasy, and this is very much like urban paranormal fantasy. So this is featuring Alana and Raphael, although it's kind of like an internet-connected series where there's a bunch of different romances and different characters and everything going on. But this one features Alana and Raphael, and I just don't think I cared. There's also like some like detective mystery aspects, and I don't like that either. Like I also realized I don't like that in my books either, especially with romance in it. I love so many of these characters though. I love so many of these characters. That's why I didn't want to stop the series, but it's just not worth it because I'm like kind of pushing and forcing myself through these books now. It's not really worth it anymore, but it's so sad because again, like I was really like excited for certain books in the series, and I think I actually might skip to those books and just read those books because I just don't care anymore, unfortunately. I don't even really like Raphael and Elena. I'm sorry, like if you like these books, I'm so sorry. But I just feel like Raphael's kind of archaic and like caveman sometimes. Like he is hundreds of years old, he's an archangel, and the way he talks with her, it's just very robotic in the way that he kind of like talks to her. And it's not very romantic to me. And also like the smut scenes are just constant in this book, and I just didn't like them. Like they're not like my kind of steamy scenes. Again though, I understand why people like this series. I understand it. Like I want to love it so badly, but I just can't. And I think I've come to the conclusion it's not for me. It's just not for me. I'm very sad about it, but I'm glad I kind of realized this because I don't want to push myself through the series and like force myself through it. So unfortunately, I will not be finishing this series, but I actually do plan on reading 2 more books in the series because those are the 2 characters I've been dying to read. And one of the covers is like my favorite cover of all time. So I do plan on reading those 2 books. It's going to make no sense to me probably because I don't know what happened before that. I'm going to be skipping like 6 books, but I don't care. If you like the series, I 100% understand you. I don't blame you. It's amazing. I love the characters, but I just can't. I can't do it anymore. This feels like a confession. I don't want to have this confession. I'm actually going to save my favorite book for last. I'm going to talk about the book I literally just finished a few days ago. This was from my March TBR, and the reason why I read it is because I wanted to save up a bit more space for my March TBR. I had way too many books on it. I wouldn't be able to finish them all, so I thought maybe I could get a head start, and I accidentally just finished a book because I've been reading like crazy. This is Sips About to Go Down by Audrey Vaughn. This is following Rose and Wes. Rose went from New York City and went to a small town. I think something happened in New York and she kind of was forced back into her small town from her childhood. And when she is there, she realizes she needs to get a job. She needs a place to live, but she has nowhere to go. And so she ends up going to a bar and says, hey, can I work here? They say, sure. There's also a place if you want to have one. It is going to be Wes, his place. And she's like, no. Like, that's not happening. But also she's desperate, so desperate times call for desperate measures, and so she ends up living in the house with Wes. Wes is from her childhood. They actually were very competitive growing up. They did like competitions, and he always won or she always won, and they had this like the rivalry between each other. And so when Wes finds out that they're going to be roommates and that they're going to be working together, he's just like, oh gosh, here we go. And so they have to work together to work on a drink. So they like mix the drinks together, try to find one that they can sell to the business because Wes's family is the one that runs this bar, and so they kind of want to have like this competition, I guess, against each other to see whose would be the one that would win. And so there's like a little bit of that rivalry still going on, although as she moves in with him, they start to get feelings for each other, and it was a cute time. 3.5 stars for this book total. I liked it. I will say that I think it could have been a little bit stronger, but I still enjoyed my time reading it overall. The thing that kind of threw me off was the smut, like the steam was so random. Like, okay, so the first half of the book, so good. I loved it so much. The tension, the banter, the kind of relationship they had with each other, so much fun. They kind of did tease each other and stuff, and it was just like, mwah, chef's kiss. There was also some like scenes in this book prior to them being intimate that was just so fun. The problem was when randomly they just started doing things together, and they weren't together yet. They were kind of like friends at this point, but they started like just going at it. But it was a bit sudden, a bit random. I would say that scenes are really good. I liked the scenes, how it was written. Again, it was just a bit sudden, but I liked my time reading it. I like Wes. Not only does he cook, which is amazing, he cooks for her. It's so cute. Also, he has a dog and a cat. I love them so much. So a guy that loves animals and can cook, count me in. I'm sold. The bar is so low, isn't it? Oh, it's embarrassing now that I think about it. I also really like Rose as a character. She's very ambitious. She's very sweet. I really love the way she is with Wes and everyone else. I love her so much. I just really liked these two. The reason why I didn't love it, again, is because like it felt like the romance was a little bit sudden. Like not, it was kind of like a slow build up. It was a little bit sudden, the smut. I will say though, there's no actual romance technically. Like they're not boyfriend or girlfriend until like later on in the book. And there's no real third act breakup. It's Wes kind of like expressing his feelings for her and she doesn't really know how to feel about it. And so they don't actually end up together before they start sleeping together. If you like characters being in a romance or a relationship prior to that, just keep that in mind. But again, I still liked it. I think it was a lot of fun. I do want to continue the rest of the series. There's 2 more books that we know of, and this is the Stryker family series. Wes has brothers. He has a twin brother and then another brother, so they have different romances within the next 2 books in the trilogy. I don't know if there's going to be any more. I kind of forgot if he has more brothers. Like he has 2 at least, so I know there's 2 more books, but I'm not sure if there's any more than those 2. I think one of the reasons why I didn't love it though is because there's a lot of talk about drinking and alcohol, and because they work in a bar together and because they're working on a drink together to sell, it was a lot around drinking, and it wasn't like in a bad way. There was no negativity around it, but I just don't drink. Like I'm in my 30s, I've never drank in my life, and I'm just not interested in that kind of thing. It's just not my ballpark. And so it was something that kind of dumbed it down a bit. I didn't know that going into it. It wasn't something I like realized it was going to be in the book. I don't mind it being in books. It's just that I can't relate to that, so that kind of dampened it a bit for me. This was fun overall. I really had a good time with it. I read it so fast, so definitely recommend it if you want to give it a shot because it was a lot of fun. I'll say that. It is a lot of fun. We have 1 more book to talk about. 1 more book, and I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. I looked at different pronunciations. There's like 3 different kinds. So I'm just going to say the way I've been saying it this entire time because I don't know what's right and what's wrong anymore. So here we go. My first 5 stars of the year is a book that I adored. And thank you, Celeste, for getting me to read this book because this was a buddy read. And I am so grateful because I loved my time with this one. This is Piranesi, or Piranesi, whatever it is, by Susanne Clarke. This book, 5 out of 5 stars. I was in tears by the end of this book. I looked up a playlist on YouTube of like Piranesi playlist. Is like classical music, very slow down classical music. I was reading this book and I was so enraptured and like my brain was just fully into this environment, and it was so beautiful. It was so well done. And I don't really want to talk too much about what this is about because I feel like going in blind is like the best thing to do. I went into this knowing almost nothing, and I think it's like the best type of thing to do because of the fact that it's a short book. It's only 280 or so pages, and I read this in 2 days. I don't read that much usually. Reading a book in 2 days, even if it's a small book, is pretty big for me. So the fact that I was able to finish it, immaculate, amazing. The gist of it, very small gist of it, is that we are following Piranesi. He is in a labyrinth of like beautiful marble statues, and oh my god, the environment of this book is absolutely beautiful. I adore it so much. The way that my brain was visualizing every single scene was just breathtaking. Anyway, he's in a labyrinth full of like statues, and there are thousands, probably infinite amount of rooms, and he studies them all, and he's very good at knowing where everything is. Really good note taker. He has his journals that kind of tell him about the rooms themselves, and he has all these different stories that correlate to these rooms and his relationship with the statues and like how he feels about them and his favorites and all that. And once in a while there are tides that kind of come through and flood the rooms and everything. And I don't want to say too much though. Like I don't want to say any more than that. Like that's all I really want to talk about. That's all I really want to say. This touches upon so many different topics. There are some tiny little criticisms I could probably mention. Like there's some things I didn't really care about. Like there's like journal entries that were so long-winded. For me, I wasn't able to focus that well on it. I felt like I was zoning out in those types of moments, but it didn't take away from me. I think that if I reread it, I'd like it even more and I'd understand those journal entries a bit more. So I personally would go back and read this in the future, maybe a reread in a few years. So I love this book so much. It was beautiful. It was amazing. Love it. This is not a genre I'd usually gravitate toward, so I always just love being surprised by genres that I don't usually read and just like fall in love with them. So I had a great time with this. Also, the cover, the main character is not a satyr. Why did I think that the entire time? I was like literally imagining Piranesi as a satyr. That sounds so stupid now I think about it, but no, he's just a person. He's just a person. I took the cover at face value. All right, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, this was my favorite book of the year so far. Adored it. It's probably going to be my top 5 at least for 2026, and so I'm just really happy that I've read a book like this. It was so well done. I teared up at the end. It was beautiful. Maybe in the future I'll listen to the audiobook. Let me know if you've listened to the audiobook of Piranesi, if you liked the audiobook, because I'm kind of picky with it, but I think if I reread it with it, it wouldn't be too bad. So I'm kind of curious. I might actually end up trying that next time I read it. And those are all the books I read in February. This was my original TBR, the ones I wanted to read. So this is my accountability check of the ones I was planning on reading. And then obviously the ones I ended up reading. So a little bit less than I intended, but again, not too bad. 6 books for the shortest month of the year is pretty good for me. So I'm not going to be too harsh on myself. Let me know what you ended up reading for the month of February, what your favorite book was, your least favorite book, whatever you want to say. If you had read any of these books and how you feel about them without spoilers, obviously. If you want to leave an emoji down below to show your support for me, I always appreciate it. Put a drink down below for Sips About to Go Down because of the prompt to read a book with a drink on the cover. So put any type of drink, either your favorite kind of drink like juice, wine, tea, coffee, whatever you want to do. I don't even know what they have, but whatever drink kind of emoji you want to put down below to show that you were here. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it. And with that, we're going to end the video off here. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully March is also a really great month. I mean, to be fair, February was like kind of mid, but there was one good book. So maybe March will have really good books. More 4 or 5-star books, please. I would love to see it. Even like just 4-star books. That's all I want. And hopefully we find some new favorites in the month of March. That being said, have a great day. Have an amazing reading month in the month of March, and I hope to see you all soon. Goodbye, everyone.